Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Sunday NFL action. We're going to take a look at the Carolina Panthers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Last week, though, they played like the old Bungles against New England. But, Brian, you know, I don't want to say I told you so, but we didn't talk about this one, but on radio last week and podcast, that was a game everybody wanted to talk about because as bad as New England played the week before on Monday Night Football, they wanted to put the fork in them, you know, the team's in decline, blah, blah, blah. And how many times, both of us, you and I have said many times on these videos, when you've got a national primetime game and one team looks really bad and the other team looks really good, you want to look to the team that looked bad, go against the team that looked good. And, oh, by the way, if you did that from that Monday night game last week, you had two winners with San Francisco and New England.
Yeah, you definitely did. And while everybody overreacted to how bad New England was, at the same point, I think they're overreacting to how good they look this week. I think they're somewhere in the middle. New England's probably, in my opinion, probably a 9-7 team, 10-6 maybe because of the coaching and Tom Brady, but it's not the same Patriots team. I really don't think they're a serious threat to win the Super Bowl this year.
No, but that goes to the old adage of I always say, again, like you said, don't overreact. No team is ever as good as that best game or as bad as their worst. Now, with that said, we've got Cincinnati here in this one. They're in that you couldn't look any worse. And I thought it was an absolute negative spot for them. Everything we just said about New England, and then my scenario of I don't like these teams that come out of a bye week that went into the bye on a roll. And yes, here we go. Cue the fat and sassy. That was Cincinnati coming out of the bye last week.
Yeah, it definitely was. So now you're going to get a Cincinnati team that's going to be focused off, as you pointed out, an embarrassing performance. And you've got a Cincinnati team that's had a real home-road dichotomy. And they showed it last week on the road. At home, they've been unbeatable. I believe they won and covered 10 straight games at home.
I believe so. They've done it in nobody. It's because this team doesn't get any respect, right?
No, they don't get a lot of press. Obviously, a small-town team in Cincinnati playing in a division where Pittsburgh and Baltimore are the teams that really have ruled that division for the last decade.
And, you know, the guy, the Red Rocket, gets bashed all the time, Andy Dalton. People don't like him because of he can't win the big game. He gets them to the big game every year. He's been in the league 3 years, and they've been in the playoffs 3 years. That means something. But, yes, he doesn't win the playoff game. And I look at this Carolina team that they're going to face this week, Brian. Here's a team that lived off of their defense for how many the past seasons? Right. That was the identity of this team, and it was just Cam Newton, don't screw up and cost the team points because the defense is going to keep you in the game. The defense has been shredded the last 3 weeks. 37 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 38 points to Baltimore, and last week, although they got the win, Chicago and Carolina, both teams kept going up and down the field. Chicago scores 24 against them. What happened to this Carolina defense?
Yeah, Chicago had that game well in hand in the second half. And then obviously the quarterback does what he does. And we talk a lot of times about winning and losing. Certain teams find a way to win, certain teams find a way to lose, and the Bears are in that situation right now. But Carolina is a team that has a lot of injuries to the running backs. Their quarterback is hurt, and really he's a mobile quarterback. He needs to be able to get out and run. He's afraid to get out and run because if he takes a hit, I mean, obviously he's going to leave the game. And they don't have the quality backups that they need to have there. And you get a Cincinnati team who's been dominant at home, can run the football. So everything in this game points to what I like to look at. You've got what I consider a premier team in Cincinnati off of an embarrassing performance, playing at home against a team that I feel is overrated.
Yeah, and you talk about running, and I know the NFL has become a passing league, but we're seeing some of the teams that are suddenly doing well, like Dallas has been rushing the football very well with DeMarco Murray and that. You look at Carolina, they cannot run the football at all. Last 4 games, 62 against Detroit, 42 against Pittsburgh, 67 against Baltimore, and 90 yards last week against Chicago. And Chicago had been giving up a ton of yardage on the ground to other teams this year, so they couldn't even run, that was their best total, 90. I know you're going Cincinnati here. I can't disagree with you. One thing I would add, and I know me and you in the NFL, we love to find good teaser situations, and I already put this out on the Betting First Look, which you can get a free play, every day at wagertalk.com on my Betting First Look. And on Tuesdays, I give out the Teaser Tuesday. That was one of the teams, and this is going to be a key game for me in teasers because I just don't see Carolina being able to go in and win in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I call it my anchor teaser. If I've got one team I want to have in all my teasers, you've got a Cincinnati team, as I pointed out. You don't have to lay the 7, you lay 1 in this game with a 6.2 team teaser. And there's a lot of good teaser opportunities this week. Last week, if you played general teaser rules, the only game you might have lost was Detroit, but that line got bet down, so maybe you didn't have to play that in a teaser as the week went on. But yeah, there's a lot of great ones. Seattle's another one this week to couple that with. Teasers are the way to go a lot of times if you don't like to lay that big number, but you think your team is going to win outright. If you're covering 3, 4, 6, and 7, it's a perfect teaser opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Brian says to take Cincinnati, lay the points on Sunday. I agree wholeheartedly with him on that one. And guys, check out wagertalk.com. If you have not signed up at WagerTalk yet, first time you make a cash purchase at WagerTalk, $12 or more, we have plays available for $12 on a regular basis. We will match your account after your first purchase. $50 will add to your account. Get 50 free dollars to play at wagertalk.com. We're going to be back. One more NFL game, Monday Night Football. That's up next. Wagertalk.com.